Hey there, everyone. Mychal Bryan here from the Oraculos School of Astrology with yet another question and answer segment where practicing astrologers bring me their questions and I provide them answers based on my astrological practice.
Is there any interpretive value to intercepted signs? Do you consider them at all?
The question is whether or not I consider intercepted signs to be valuable in astrology, and the answer to that question is no. And the reason for that is because I don't practice sign based astrology, and my students at the Oraculos School of Astrology also don't practice astrology that derives an exhaustive amount of information based on the signs of the zodiac. And the reason for that is because I think that that is largely a modern convention. And there's far more to be understood about planets based on the interactions they have with each other than just based on the signs of the zodiac they inhabit. So, as far as this doctrine of interception is concerned, I don't think interception is valuable in any way whatsoever, really, other than the fact that if we have a planet that's ruling an intercepted sign, that planet is thought to be the co ruler of the house where that sign is intercepted. Now, there are some people who read into this doctrine of co rulership. Jean Baptiste Morin de Villefranche in the 17th century was definitely someone who read into co rulership. But even then, he still defaulted and said, co rulers or no co rulers, the main planets that carry out the specific interpretive meaning of the houses are going to be the planets that rule the signs on the cusps of those houses. So I think the point of all of this is that it doesn't actually matter whether a sign is intercepted or not, because the main ruler of that house is still going to be the planet that is ruling the sign on the cusp of that house. And even if we do integrate the co-ruler into our delineation, that should just be done as a secondary, even a tertiary factor, but it's nothing that we should lead with. I would never go into a reading that my reputation is based on and lead that reading by talking about the co-ruler of this person's 10th house is doing this, therefore, dot, 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 because I've never found that to be a valuable or necessary thing to do. And the only time I would talk about anything being the co-ruler of anything is if the co-ruler corroborated what I already said about the primary ruler of that house based on the planet that rules the sign on the cusp of that house. This doctrine of interception tends to come up a lot in modern astrology because modern astrology is emphatically signs of the zodiac based, and modern astrology in general can't go two steps without over mentioning the signs of the zodiac. So, as a result of that, there are entire books that have been written on what to do if someone has intercepted signs within their chart. However, a part of why the interception thing is always speculative is because in Placidus, you might have intercepted signs within your chart, but in Regiomontanus, you don't have those intercepted signs within your chart. And if we are to believe that whole sign houses is the actual closest way to the path of God, then we would find also that in whole sign houses, there are no intercepted signs within your chart at all. So the value that we get from interpreting much into the doctrine of intercepted signs is speculative because one, not only do you lose those intercepted signs, should you choose to start following the path of Regiomontanus as far as houses are concerned, or should you choose to start practicing astrology from a whole sign based perspective? But the major interpretive language that we find people using about those intercepted signs has nothing to do with the planets that rule those signs, but it often has to do with the sign itself. So therefore, if somebody has Leo intercepted in their chart, that person is thought to be someone who doesn't know how to express themselves in the world because their Leo is intercepted. Or if someone has Aries intercepted, that person is a person who doesn't understand interpersonal relationships, and sometimes they're too hot and fiery, and other times they're too passive, and interpersonal relationships becomes their major problem within this lifetime because they have their Aries Libra axis intercepted. If that's how someone wants to practice astrology, then by all means, I can't knock it, and I can't really say much about much astrology, because much astrology that people practice is astrology that I don't particularly jive with, because I abhor an astrology that over talks about signs of the zodiac. I find it boring, I find it non-dimensional, and I genuinely don't find it helpful in actually describing to someone the concrete realities of their lives. Sure, you might talk to someone about their personality for a while, but how long can you take a reading just talking about someone's personality before that person also wants to know about other concrete things that shape and form them into being the person who they are? So, anyway, the point of the matter is that intercepted signs and over teaching and talking about intercepted signs comes out of a period of astrology where we were over teaching and talking about the signs of the zodiac in general, and we don't find anyone really giving intercepted signs half the amount of weight they get in the 21st century when we look at older systems of astrology. So I don't use intercepted signs as being valuable at all. I think there's one horary aphorism that if a ship is located in an intercepted sign, then that means that the ship can't get out of the harbor or something to that effect. And there might be other tiny things here and there within the context of that type of astrology. But at the same time, I just don't think that it's a necessary thing to overburden our astrology with in any event, because at the end of the day, if we're practicing good, concrete, traditional astrology, the majority of what we have to say is going to come from the planets that rule the signs that are on the cusps of the houses, and not necessarily the planets ruling intercepted signs. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome in the universe. I gotta run. I love you, but I gotta leave you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you all so much for showing up. Please keep showing up to these things. I really appreciate your presence, and you're getting the best of me while I'm still alive. So I'll talk to you later. I'm not planning to die, Nancy. It's okay. All right, bye everyone. TTYL. If you're enjoying these Q&A segments and you'd like to work with either myself or an OSA certified astrologer, then by all means check out our website where you can book yourself a high-quality astrological consultation today. Also, I answer many of these questions and more in my book, Mastering Traditional Astrology, A Depth of Beginning in the Celestial Art, which you can buy a copy of on Amazon.com. And if you'd like to become a professional astrologer, then check out our Professional Astrologers Diploma Program, as well as our Medical Astrologers Diploma Program, by visiting the education page of our website.